Okay, we are recording. And this is the PAS training. Okay, so we're going to start out with our book, and this is the PAS book. I don't know if you can actually see it, but here it is, the Program Administration Scale book. I hope everybody has it at this point. If you don't have an opportunity to go to the NSU bookstore in Broken Arrow, just order it from Amazon. I looked yesterday and they had plenty of them online, so they'll deliver it overnight for you. Okay, so when you get the book, you're going to start out and just look on page 9. Page 9 is the subscale items. And this is just your broad overview. You'll notice that when you actually do this assessment, you're going to look at human resources, personnel cost and allocation, where are they getting their money from, and how much are they taking in through grants and whatnot. Operations, how are they actually operating the facilities, the risk management, the marketing, the technology. What is their screening and assessment procedure? How are they managing fiscally? Do they have budget planning? Are there accountants? Are there accounting practices? Or is it all kind of willy-nilly? Organizational growth and development. What kind of strategic planning takes place? Does the child care center actually have a strategic plan for the next couple of years? How do they evaluate themselves and see if they're actually growing and improving? What about family and community partnerships? How do they communicate with families? How do they support families when things go wrong? How do they engage families on a weekly or daily basis? What kind of community outreach is there or not? How about relational leadership? Are there shared decision-making opportunities, or are all the decisions pretty much top down? And how about internal communications amongst departments? And then the staff qualifications. Okay, those are the items that you're going to look at. And it walks you through it. It's number 1 through 25. So when you get to number 1, which is hiring and orientation, you're going to notice it's 2 pages. It's always 2 pages. The page on the right is where the actual items that you're going to score. And this is one of the few things I know my syllabus says everything is typed. This is not, it's handwritten. You're going to write in this book, and I highly recommend that you use pencil because you'll find yourself erasing. I promise you that. I've done this myself, and you erase. And so make sure that you just bring your pencil with you. You will notice next to some of these, like if you look at 3.1 and 3.2, it has a D next to it. That D means that there's a document somewhere that will tell you that information. This is something like that you can get from the manual or the handbook or some kind of a procedural thing that they have. On occasion, you'll see an O next to a prompt or a question. That means that you will need to observe for that. Okay. And then you will also notice, like for instance, next to 3.3, you'll notice a very small b, lowercase b and lowercase c. Well, those correspond to the left-hand page, page 10, and there you look at the lowercase b and the lowercase c, and they're explanatory for that prompt. Like for instance, there is a staff orientation policy. Well, B explains what staff orientation means in this case so that everyone has the same meaning. And then C explains what the orientation policy must also contain. So that's what those very small letters look like. And then you're going to go from number 1 all the way through 25 with your pencil. And this takes 2 to 3 hours. And there are going to be times when you just cannot find something and you're just going to ask the teacher or whoever is there in the program and try to get the answer from them, because some of it is going to be hard to just eyeball, especially when you get to like the fiscal management and stuff like that. And that is a brief overview of just the observation part. Now, as you're doing your observations, you're going to start out at the far left-hand side of the page where it says inadequate. And for inadequate, in a perfect world, it should have all letter N. No, just what an N, N. Because you don't want anything to be inadequate. Who wants to send their child to a center that's inadequate? Then you go, once you have that, you just put N, hopefully. If, heaven forbid, if one of those is not an N, then you're going to put a Y for yes. But that's a bad thing. Okay. Now, when people that do this for a living, like a DHS, they do these kinds of assessments. They don't necessarily do the PAS, but they do these kinds of assessments. There are many of them out there. They will, if they come up with a yes in one of these, they'll quit. They won't even do the rest. But since you are a newbie and you're training, and that you're going to do them all, even if you wind up with a yes here in the first column, then you're going to go to the next column. And again, it's going to be the N's or the yeses. N or Y, N or Y, N or Y. And you're going to work your way all the way over to the final column of the 7s. That's how, and I'll talk more about how to score it here in just a few minutes. But you're going to do this for 1 through 25. And you're also going to, down here where it says rationale, at the bottom of the page, there's a little box. And I make myself notes because you're going to be writing a report. And memory dolls, if you're anything like me, if I go to the center one week and then a week later I sit down to write my report, I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, how was that? Now, why did I put an N here? What caused me to say yes? I can't remember. So make sure you take notes. You can write all over these pages. The more notes, the better, because you're going to turn those in. You're going to actually scan them in, and I will go through them page by page. And I love to see lots of notes, because that tells me that your written report is going to be excellent because you have a solid background. Does anyone have any questions? No. Okay. All right. So then,
sorry, I did. Sorry.
oh, good.
Okay, so say I do all ends on inadequate there, but then is it cumulative? Like the hiring procedures include an interview, providing the job description and 2 additional practices. But if they provided the one under excellent, which was like 6 additional practices, would I put it in there under minimal or a Y?
For instance, for 1.1, the hiring procedures do not include an interview, providing the job description and at least 2 additional practices.
Right, which would
Right.
be like an N.
That is definitely, if they did, it would be an N.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go over here. I'm going to start sharing, and I'm going to go to my practice. Can you see the practice?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here is personnel cost and allocation. And so here we have a salary scale is not available.
Mhm.
That should be, if there is one available, then that would be an N, because this is the negative.
Mhm.
So a salary scale is not available. No, that's not true. We do have a salary
Okay.
scale.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so N would be like not true, like
It's not true. And you want the first column, you really want it to be not true, because if it is true, it's a dreadful place.
right.
Okay, and just like 1.2, a salary scale is not differentiated by role in education. That's that's not true, because a salary scale is differentiated by role in education. They put yes because
Mhm.
they had a salary scale. So this one would have to be no. You see what I mean? If it is present, then the not differentiated would not be true.
Mhm.
And then down here, the same thing. If you have a yes here for these, then
Uh-huh.
these would be ends, because these are the opposites. These are the exact
Oh,
opposites. You see
okay.
what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I hope I don't know. Am I confusing?
No.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. I think what you're kind of saying is that the N is like false and the Y is true,
Yes,
and you just
exactly.
mark it accordingly.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. All right.
Okay. And I can
So,
see like, yeah, so yeah, I see what you're saying, I think.
okay. And you know what? This makes so much more sense once you get into it and you start scoring. Now, before you start scoring, I'd like you to turn to page 6 in your workbook. And where it says step 2, and it says determine the scores for items 1 through 21. And you really start looking from the first one. A score is 1, and these are the scores. A score of 1 is given if any indicator under the 1 column is rated yes. We can't do that here because they do have all N's. A score of 2 is given when all indicators under 1 are rated no, and at least half of the indicators under 3 are rated yes. So it would have to be 2 out of 3 in this case, but they're all yeses. A score of 3 is given when all indicators under 1 are rated N, and all indicators under 3 are rated yes. But we keep moving. A score of 4 is given when all indicators under 1 are no, all indicators under 3 are rated yes, and at least half of the indicators under 5 are rated yes. A score of 5 is given when all indicators under 1 are rated no, and all indicators under 3 and 5 are rated yes. A score of 6 is given when all indicators under 1 are rated no, and all indicators under 3 and 5 are rated yes, and at least half of the indicators under 7 are rated yes. And finally, a score of 7 is given when all indicators under 1 are rated no, and all indicators under 3, 5, and 7 are rated yes. So in this case, let's take a look at it. We look here. 1, all of them are no. 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3 are all yes. We keep going. And you can tell for the 5s, more than half, 2 out of 3 are yeses, but there is a no. So we cannot give it a 5. So we stop with the evaluation once we get to where there's a no. So since only more than half here are rated yes, and all these are appropriate here, we can score this a 4. Now, if all of them were, we would keep moving on, but we're not. This is a 4. Are there any questions about how I got the 4? Okay. There being none, I'm moving on. And here's the scoring. Okay, here's another example. Pardon my terrible handwriting. Okay, let's take a look at it. You can see what I circled here. Would anyone like to tell me why that's a 1? Okay, well, I'll tell you. It's because this is marked yes. Anytime you have a yes, even one yes, the whole thing is 1. It's so bad to have a yes over here that the whole thing is marked yet a 1. And notice my handwritten notes.
I have a quick question.
Mhm.
It's Mariah. I don't know where my little picture or my thing went up at the top, but I am still here. So as we go through these, like that first question, on that one you were just on about the teacher having a degree or 60 hours, I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So when we go and we meet with the center director, is it going to be like a question answer? Are we interviewing them for several hours to get all of this
Well,
information?
you will have to ask questions for probably a half an hour or an hour.
Okay.
I would go through it. The vast number, when you go through this, and you'll see this if you just breeze through your book, there are ones that you can just obviously look at and you know what it is. You know this is an observation item.
Okay.
For any of the ones that deal with what's happening in the classroom and things like that, they're obvious and you can see it. But then there are a lot of them that you just have to ask. And so you may spend more time with the lead teacher or the supervisor. But then there are other ones like down here for risk management on page 25. There are some that are all marked O, and they want you to look at what's posted and what they're using in the classroom and things like that. That's
Okay.
why they have D's and O's, because they've made it a little bit easier by pointing out which ones you'll just be observing for and which ones they think you're going to have to ask about.
Gotcha.
Mhm. Okay. And then we've had our 1. How about this one here? Family support. I mean, it's obvious I marked it 2. Why is it a 2?
Because you have two yeses in the 3.1 and 3.3. So that bumps it down.
That bumps it down. It does. It does. It'll go to that halfway point to the 2. Exactly right. And here we go to fiscal management. More than half are, all these are the way they're supposed to be: 3 N's, 3 Y's, 3 Y's. But then we get here to the number 7, and oh my goodness, they have 2 Y's and 1 no, 2 yeses and 1 no. So that puts us into the halfway category between the 5 and the 7. And there we have the 6. Does it make more? I hope it makes more sense now that you see how the scoring is, because it's pretty easy once you get it going. Now that we've talked a little bit about that, I want you to let's go back here to the end of the book. Once you have this done, all 25 items responded to, then you're going to scan page 1 through 25 through, so that I can see all your notations. I don't care how messy it is, just put as much into it as you possibly can. And go ahead and label that file PAS workbook. All 1 through 25 is your PAS workbook, and that's how you will upload it, PAS workbook. You don't have to do another thing to it. That's just upload it and that's it. And then you're going to fill out the PAS profile form. Now, the PAS profile form is in your book on page 66. And that is really just shorthand for everything that you just found. And I'll show you one. There it is. This is the profile form. And you're going to take all those little numbers that you came up with. Number 1 was this one was 3, and this one was 5, and this one was 2, so on and so forth. And it's going to look like a zigzag. And you're going to add up your total PAS scores to give one total score. These are the scores that you're adding. So you'll have 25 scores to add. Divided by the number of items, 24. In this case, it should have been 25, but it wasn't. Because there may be 1 or 2 items that for one reason or another you don't have access to, the person doesn't know the answer. It's just not possible. You can't make something happen that's not available to you. So you will indicate on the form, not done because no access or whatever the reason is. But that's why this person came up with a total PAS score of 99, but they only had 24 items, and then they got the average, and this was the average for the whole center, 4.13, which is not really great. It's sort of an average, but you really want it to be above 4, somewhere in the 5, 6, and 7 category would be really nice. Anything that's below the 4 is not considered very great. And this gives you a visual picture of what that center is like. So you're also, once you have that finished, you're going to scan it and you're going to label it. Go back in here. Sorry. Okay. You're going to label it PAS profile form and plot out your scores. So then that'll be uploaded too. And then you're ready to write your report. And your report is going to be pretty lengthy. You're going to start out and you're going to tell me, what the center was, the name of the center, and you're going to, hang on, okay. You're going to, like, for instance, the human resources section, which is, I believe that was number 1, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, number 1, human resources. So you come to number 1, and it's hiring and orientation. That's the very first page that you did, page 11. Okay. And my practice one had a score of 5 for this section. So always indicate the score. You're going to write in paragraph format describing what was good about this section. Why did they even warrant a 5? And explain what items were scored below 5. Something might have had a 3. Or 2. You just never know where you had your little items, your little yeses and nos. And for each section that had a specific recommendations, make specific recommendations for each item scoring below 5. Because we really want the center to be better than just barely in the middle. Then you come down to human resources, number 2. Supervision and performance appraisal. This time they scored a 3. You're going to write in paragraph format describing what was good about this section, explain what items were below 5, and make specific recommendations for each item scoring below 5. And you're going to continue as above for the 9 sections and 25 subscale items. And at the end of the paper, write an additional paragraph explaining why assessment tools such as the PAS are important in evaluating developmentally effective learning environments, with 3 to 4 examples from relevant sub areas. For instance, if I hadn't done that assessment, I would have never known that such and such was, in bad shape, or they were doing such a great job in this particular area. And then you will have your PAS written report, and you will also upload that. There it is, the written report. And this PowerPoint is on your Blackboard site in the activities section, so you can always refer back to it. And then finally, please look at the grading rubric. This is a 100-point assignment. Before you turn it in, before you hit submit, look at the grading rubric, because, and it's right here, it's down in where you turn it in, right here. I really think it's important that you double check every single time you upload an assignment, especially a big one like this. If you have any questions, always, always look at the rubric to see where you stand. Okay, my goodness, I've done so much talking. Do you have any questions?
It's Mariah again. You know, I always have the questions.
I'm delighted.
Well, I've already jumped onto your Google document and I put in my intended place to do my observation.
Yes.
And it happens to be on our ISD, we offer like an employee daycare slash like preschool center. So I was thinking along those lines of doing it there. My question is, as we do the observation, if we see that it's not going to score very well, not that I don't have faith in, what we're offering at the district level, but as we go through, I know they just got a new director within the last year. So is there a point where I need to thank them for their time and maybe look at a more established director at a center?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay.
Don't worry about the score.
Okay.
The object of this is to do a good, thorough job. We're not there to evaluate the center. We're there to learn how to evaluate. That is what this is for. So many of our students, that they may not start out doing this, but they wind up working for administrative agencies where they are in charge of coming up with a score for an agency. And
Okay.
then you want to get the practice, because most of these assessments are very similar. And this way you will at least know in the back of your mind, I have done this before. This may be different, but I've done something really similar. No, it doesn't matter what they score. We're not here to score them per se. We're here to learn how to score them.
Okay. That makes sense.
And please
Thank you.
do not share the information with the agency. You can tell them exactly what I told you. I'm just here practicing how to score. That's
Okay.
it. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? They're all good questions, really. Nope.
So, Dr. Ede, that one sheet that she was talking about, like, oh, this is the school where I'm going to go and do the assessment.
Yes. Yes.
I guess from a technology standpoint, once I fill that out, is that like saved to you or something?
Oh, yeah, it's a Google Doc.
Okay, all right, all right. I guess I'm not that familiar with that, doggone it. But
And no, that's okay.
all right, I just want to make sure I don't like leave something out, you know.
You're doing just great. No, it's a Google Doc. Anytime you put something into a Google Doc, it will stay here and it saves itself.
Uh-huh.
So you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about saving it. There it is. You can see people already filled
Oh,
it.
and they already did it. Okay.
And you can just write on it. It's fine. It'll just stay in here. And that just allows me to, see how you're progressing, where you're going, and that kind of thing. Mhm.
Okie doke. And it's okay for me to do this at my school where I
Yeah,
work?
sure.
Okay. All
Sure.
right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Wherever works best for you. That's what I say.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I had. So unless you have any questions, we can call it a night, but I'm happy to answer any questions about anything to do with the class, as long as you're here. Mariah? Deborah?
I think I'm good.
Okay, well, you
Yep.
have a great evening.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.